Shweta. So I'm really honored to welcome Mr. Sumit Khinvasara. And so if you're in Nasik and if you talk to any Nasiker and if you try to explain them what do you do and if you tell them that you do GIS, then they'll probably say that, okay, you're doing something that Sumit is doing. So this guy has been doing GIS from that time. So I'm really happy to have you, sir, over here. He's a visionary leader at the intersection of technology and aviation. So that's really amazing. As a director of ADL coordinates, Sumit sir has spearheaded global initiative that turn complex aeronautical information into actionable and standardized data across Europe, Africa, and Middle East, and also USA. His deep hands-on experience is matched by his commitment to professional community building. Having served as a chairman of the Institute of Engineers and also the award-winning president of IMA Nasik, when he hasn't shaping global aviation standards for ICAO and UAE government, Sumit is likely hitting the trails and dedicated hiker as well as runner. So, sir, please, the floor is yours.
Uh, Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Uh, she has already set the tone saying that this is the last session, and I was a bit reluctant when I understood that this is going to be last session. That too on the Sunday morning. Uh, and typically, whenever we speak, I always had a questions that I don't want to speak either after lunch or at the end of the session. But the kind of energy you guys have shown is tremendous and feels that this is the first session we are starting up. So have a good clap for all of you. I hope you had a wonderful time in India and in Nasik. Nasik is very unlikely place till now to have these kind of organizing sessions, training and technical aspects. And thanks to Krishna to making it happen, it adds a lot of value to the city, to the venues and to the entire team across around him working here, because that brings a lot of confidence in whatever we are doing. So another way to say is thanks all of you to being here, and I hope you had a wonderful time, not only in the learnings, but having the experience of local culture, local living, and we would like you to come again and again to Nasik. As Krishna had showering too many kind words about me, elevating my own stature, I'll try to live up to it through the talk what I want to speak about. When it came to open source as a technology, and what I believe is there are two ends. There is one called as open source and another as the commercial companies. Open source believes totally as a community building. So pursuit for open source is that we are together as a entire GIS industry or any kind of industry. And to other end, the companies which are pursuing for the profits. And their direction of work might be totally in different ways, because the way we capture the data, we disseminate the data, we publish the data. For both the angles of these two ends are going to be different, because the dynamics are different, end results is different. But that even given as an perspective, I feel they are very much important pillars of the same ecosystem. You cannot distinguish both of them cannot exist without each other. And that is what has been my learning throughout my journey into the GIS and remote sensing almost for last 20-25 years, which has helped me in from both the perspective. As I see a lot of young people here, the most important point for me to deliberate today and wanted to have a food for thought in your minds is how you can use these open source as a launch pad for your entrepreneur journey. Once I'm an entrepreneur, I would like everybody sitting here should turn out to be entrepreneur. And are there anyone who would not like to be having their own industries? Apart from educators. I believe that. So he will make people to have their own enterprises, right? So why, and then what are the points and why, what it makes it difficult, challenging, and also there is a fear factor when you start thinking about having your own enterprise, which was also part of my journey very well. And when I thought of discussing this with you, I lived all those fears, all those anxieties throughout my journey for last 20 years. Biggest challenge comes as an entrepreneur is the investment. How would I use uh, my money into different aspects? I want to have a good team member. I want to have a good infra. I want to have a good sales team. At the same time, I need to have a good tools and technology at my disposal as well. All these makes the whole ecosystem of an enterprise solid and essential. Without this, it is impossible to make an enterprise profitable. Now, if you want to have that, open source becomes one of the most important element for you to make your life a bit easier. I don't say it would be a cakewalk after that, but this definitely becomes a fuel for your engine to push a bit faster. So what is this going to give you is any kind of data set what I can think about or any kind of open source would have three different categories. From the technology perspective I'm talking about is one is about in GIS terms, there's a data set. Then there are the codes or tools or technology like QGIS or GeoServers of the world. These are the tools and technology. Third comes is the business processes. Without having these business processes, tools or the data sets are of no meaning. When we are talking about open source, we should not confine our thought process only to one point, where we are talking about having the free tools or open source tools. I have seen that as one of the major misinterpretation about open source technology is it's a free tool. Don't look into it as a free tool. It has got a license to use. And when you get a license, you get entitlement, but at the same time, you get a responsibility as well. So what is the kind of responsibility that you have to fulfill once you have those licenses to utilize? May it be business process, may it be data, or may it be the tools and technology itself. This is one part now from coming from the open source. If I go back to my thought process of the entrepreneurship, I have got a license to use without paying literal cash. So my burn for developing a tool, developing the concept, developing the technology becomes much easier, much feasible, and my risk appetite becomes more. I'll give you one of the examples where we, as an ADL organization, we work into the aviation domain, and we work with a very, very critical data sets. That's what I was just discussing with Krishna as well, that there is no room for smallest of the error when it comes to aviation data sets. And you are being responsible for whatever data you are publishing, because a pilot is going to fly based on that. He's going to land on his aircraft on the ground based on that data, and the safety of all those passengers and surrounding is very much dependent on kind of data we produce as aviation experts. At the base of it, when we started our journey into the aviation, it was difficult to put the money, again, as all of you would like to hear that, buying those very high-tech enterprise applications and building the solutions on top of that was easiest of the thing. But where do you get investment from? And at the start of any journey, this is going to be a challenge. So we started using few of the tools, and we produced our own business process on top of those open GIS tools. Now that is the point I realized what is a strong fundamental uh, push you get from the entire community, because many of the solutions, small business processes, small software codes were readily available. We did not have to put a lot of brain and investments on that, which helped me to define and deliver one of the best technology solution across world. And it is not just because of our own brain, the whole community came into support for you. Now look at the benefits that we are getting as an corporate. We use that, we deliver the solutions, we were able to make the profits out of it. So does that remain one-sided application for that? That the community works for few of the people around the world. It would never work according to that thought process. Then it is a responsibility as an organization to share that data back, what are your learnings, to the community. So tomorrow if there is someone coming as an entrepreneur, also gets that kind of support. And that's exactly what our team has been doing. And I'll give you a very interesting example on that. And it's not necessary that you have to reply from A to A only. Say for example, I've used QGIS, and again I'm supporting only for the QGIS. It's not A to A combination. But as an industry expert, as an part of the ecosystem, it is your responsibility. So we had few interns working with us, and they were working on the identification of the water turbidity for their projects in last year of the research into their post-graduation. Now, the project was completed, that was being accepted by their university. They were able to get whatever their grades and the credits they wanted to have. We had our own research data set, the case study was created, the entire thing was ready. Somewhere that student got a mail from publishing authority that this sounds to be a very unique solution what you have created. What is the thought process behind that, and what kind of data you have produced, how it was produced. Now that was a time we had an opportunity to make this data set totally open. And that student was given access to the entire data, which was from the remote sensing data, and at the same time, the ground data that was being collected for processing and understanding or making ML learn the logic behind that. So we had been working on machine learning, say from 2016 and 17. So we understand the value of the historical data a machine learning process is going through. One of the attendees here, Gaurav, had been working with us for a long, and he could correlate what I'm talking to about the historical data we had. So during that, now because he was given access to this open data, he made it open. That model for machine learning was kept open. The paper was published, and now there are 5 companies using that model to solve the problem in the world. So see, this is the ripple effect that keeps happening. And that is how this open source community needs to be strengthened by each one of us. But not only from the perspective that we are building a community, there are offshoots where you are going to make money also out of it. So if there is only one objective of building the community, it would never sustain. If we have both the angles to it, it would sustain for a long, it would stay for everyone, and it would add value in this entire ecosystem. So definitely all of you being here makes a lot of sense that cross-cultural interaction happens, technology interaction happens, use cases are being shared across. One use case at one point can trigger to the another thought process to the another end of it. That is where these interactions, these networkings are so important. I believe that was one of the key things that all of you must have taken away from these 4 days of a lot of technical think tank over here. There is one aspect which we need to be very, very cautious about, and has to be, we learned it in a very hard way. So I would like you guys to be very cautious on that. You might be aware, but I'm sharing my experiences. Is that when you use the open source tools and technology, under the open source, what really are the qualifiers? What you call open source as real open source has to be strictly defined. And that would be one of the core objective, I think so, the FOSS4G should be able to take it up, that when somebody wants to say that this is an open source, what exactly qualifies me as an open source? The catch is, we started using one of the tools as a open source. The open source license was very clearly mentioned. We started using it, we inbuilt into our solution, was going delivered for years together. And one fine day we received email saying that this is open source, but the terms and conditions that are, you have to publicly share the code what you are using for open source. Up to that point, we are okay with that. That because you are using that tool, how you are delivering. So the output was being published using that tool on the internet. The tweak came that it is not just how you are using the publication, you have to explain the entire project what you are doing, how you are using the data, how you are storing the data, how your business rules are being identified, and what outcome comes. That entire data set and the business rules has to be published if you want to use this as a open source tool. Otherwise, you buy those licenses. Now, these are the small things which we miss when we sign up for those open source. As we have learned it in a hard way, we have to get out of those processes. But every open source is not free. That's what I wanted to come and share with you guys. And as a community, we should be able to very clearly make this point across world, saying that what are the qualifiers when you say is open source, and what are the catches on those pointers. So in a nutshell, what I wanted to bring out here point was, if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, or if you are into your journey of your career into GIS or remote sensing, the community is there. I had been supported by that community a lot, and I'm proud to say that these open source platforms are definitely going to stay there and going to help each and individual of us. But at the same time, don't forget, come back, build a community more and more strong, and that will grow each and every one of us rather than just individualistic approach. Thank you very much for giving and listening me patiently, and I hope you had an enjoyable time. See you again very soon.
Thank you very much for your inspiring talk. Add to what you have said about awareness about open source license. I need not tell you because you already know, but to the audience, maybe some of them are new to this community. The FOSS4G tools are managed by an organization called OSGeo. And then the OSGeo approves only software that are the open source licenses that are approved by the OSI, Open Source Initiative License. So I think that is the first thing that any entrepreneur has to do,
Right.
that whether the software is under the OSI approved license or not. And among the OSI licenses, there is a GPL license, there is MIT license. So if you are going to integrate your tool into, you have a open part of your tool and you have a closed part of your tool, the safest is to choose Apache license or to use the MIT license. So I think many of we have to encourage entrepreneurs, and I think this, what you said, I strongly agree that we have to understand the license very carefully, otherwise you'll get into issues later.
Right.
Just add to what you have said.
Absolutely right. And what I believe is, when you start something as a small, you tend to ignore, or you don't put a lot of attention on that, because as a techie, I know that your brain is more how fantastic solution I can create. These are the small things we can cater later on. And that later on becomes much more troublesome.
Any other questions? Thank you, sir. We would like to give you a token of gratitude. Thank you. This is hand stitched from the from from Nasik, small woman-led business in Nasik only.
Maybe you can send him a t-shirt later.
Yes, yes, we'll do that as well. Please, yes. Thank you.